Hey, everybody. All right, Redwood Nation. So we are live for our first ever Redwood prospecting hour. How we're going to get through this crisis, if you will, together as a team, building our businesses individually, is through collaborating. And I think a great way where we can collaborate and lean on each other is going to be right here on our business planning tracker, where we all get together daily. I'm going to kick everything off at 10 a.m. with some words of inspiration that will hopefully guide you through your prospecting hour. And feel free to stick around for longer than an hour. If you are, good rule of thumb is if you've been reliably doing an hour's worth of prospecting while you were open for business, and in the sense that you were out in the field showing houses, doing open houses, going to closings, attending home inspections, doing all the normal business activities that will resume once this whole coronavirus thing passes. Then, if you were doing an hour beforehand, you should be doing 2 hours now. If you were doing 35 minutes before, you should be doing an hour and 10 minutes by my math. So, however much prospecting you were doing before, go ahead and double that. And if you were zero, you don't get to say, all right, Eddie, well, 0 times 2 equals 0. I'm just going to sit here and not prospect. You can't do that if you expect to grow. So start with a minimum of 1 hour a day, reaching out on the phone to your past clients, your sphere of influence, all of your Redwood lead sources, and connecting with them. Now is the time to literally call every single person that has visited an open house of yours for the last 5 years. You want to greet them and you want to listen. So if you go to the scripts that I have in business planning, right? So just go to Access Redwood and Access Support Center and type in prospecting scripts. You'll see Sean and I have loaded up 2 prospecting scripts. One of them is specifically geared for coronavirus and how you reach out to your clients, past clients and future clients. So that's people you know, people you don't know. You want to start first and foremost with how are you holding up, right? So I'll go through a sample call right now. Ring, ring. Hi there, Eddie Berenbaum, Century 21 Redwood Realty. I'm just calling to understand, how are you holding up? How is this crisis affecting you and your family? Is there anything I could do to assist? And you want to start with that, and then you're just going to shut up and you're going to listen, and you're going to hear what they have to say. And inevitably, they're going to most likely come back to you, and they're going to say, oh, well, thank you, Eddie. This is how we're doing. How are you doing? Like, how is real estate right now? This seems like probably a scary time for you as well. In which case, you're going to fill them in with how the market's doing and say, actually, we were on pace. Our company is going to have its best quarter ever, best quarter of all time. Now, we are seeing a slowdown in contracts now, which is sparked largely from the slowdown in showings. But the fundamentals of this market are extremely, extremely strong, and so I'm just taking advantage of the fact that I have I'm holed up in my house, doing good by society, keeping the herd safe, and using that to reach out to folks like yourself and see what your thoughts are for the upcoming year. Have you given any thought to moving in the next 18 months? Okay. Um, well, that's great. Staying put is always good. How about your interest rate? Interest rates are at all-time lows. So we're seeing clients saving, depending on their loan amount, a couple hundred to over $1,000 a month by locking in a lower rate. What's your current interest rate? This is what I'm going to do. Is it okay if I share your information with our lender? My brokerage has a lender, day one mortgage that can help you probably save a ton of money. But I'm going to let my rep, Steve Salvatore, talk to you in details there. Are you comfortable with that? So next thing you're sending on to a lender, and then finally you're going to say, so I know you're not looking to move, but who do you know that is looking to move? Is there anyone that specifically because of this crisis, this might have accelerated their plans to make a change in housing. And then you're going to ask how you can get in touch with them. And at the end of the day, you'd always much rather get their information and call on their behalf. But second to that, set a time where they can reliably pass the information. Do your best to avoid any situation where there's not an expectation of when they're going to deliver the contact. Hey, could you would you mind doing this right now? Would you mind putting us both on a text right now? And that's a great way for me to make the introduction. Because if you can get on a text message with the referral, your chance of actually communicating and moving the needle with that referral is much higher. So how's that sound? Who do we have? Anybody that is on here right now and they have a suggestion, they have something they want me to talk about, you can text me. Numbers 202-815-0925. Funny, as I said that, Michelle Simchak just texted me and asked for the link. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going to show her, taking a screenshot and say, hey, just see me in the business planning tracker. I'm on in the business planning tracker. All right, so let's cut through to a question. An agent just texted me with a good point. They say, Eddie, how am I supposed to prospect while you're talking? What I want you to do is mute me. That's a great point. What I hope you do is just come back to me. Use me as a resource in between your calls. Please don't use me and my hopefully entertaining content as an excuse not to make a call. Use me as a source for inspiration, God willing, between your phone calls, not instead of your phone calls. Or even better, I think I like this better, use not having to hear me as an excuse for remaining on the phone, right? The faster, if you punish yourself by listening to me in between every single phone call, then all you gotta do is just call super fast, get the number, get the number, get the number. You're using your Redwood CRM plus website solution. Just queue them up, queue them up, queue them up. I'd love to hear feedback from you. Who's using the app? Because you realize that when you're on the Redwood CRM app, in the dialer, you can just go call to call to call. And the beautiful thing about going call to call to call is your number of conversations is going to skyrocket. And the amount of time you spend listening to me is going to go way, way down. Pretty good. I'll drink to that. So let me tell you, I have another, I got another text. An agent said, when's this all going to end? I have no idea. If you're looking for my opinion on it, I think we could be, sheltering in place, so to speak, for a good while. We have to do it until everything passes, because you didn't come here to tune into my opinions, but I can't hold off on this one. Worst thing we could do is everybody goes back too early, because the second wave, heaven forbid we got hit with a second wave on this, I predict that would be worse on the economy than the first wave. Not to mention, people's health. So do it. Stay home to protect the people you love, first and foremost, and secondarily, stay home to protect the economy, because the government just passed a $2 trillion relief act, and that'll probably get us through this first shutdown. But we don't want to have to go borrowing more than a year's worth of the Treasury's income on a second one. So, and maybe I'm inspiring you to stay on the phone even more, which is what I love to do. I'm here talking so you stay on the phone calling and don't have to hear me or my opinions. What are you appreciative of? Thank you for asking. I love the fact I have two kids, Maggie and Isaac. Maggie being 10th, a fourth grader, Isaac being a second grader at 8 years old. And they're in my dining room right now learning with my wife, who was educated as a school teacher. So their school Public school here in Arlington is super on top of it. They send lessons every day, over the top lessons. I know some of the parents are complaining because the content they're providing is like, how do I possibly keep up with this? So good job, Arlington County, in providing that. Uh, their teachers are hard at work working remotely, and the kids are hard at work here. And it's nice. I get to see them at lunch. We go for walks afterwards. This has been the busiest time probably in my life. So even though I save time not having to commute to any of our offices, I'm up at 5 a.m. and I probably work until 6 or 7 or 8. I started watching season 10 of Curb Your Enthusiasm last night. That was a nice welcome relief. So big endorsement there. I'm all caught up on Better Call Saul, and my one guilty pleasure for network television is This Is Us, which was part of it is set in my hometown of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Nick Pasquini's hometown of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, too. So this is kind of getting like a bit of a telethon type of an approach. So, answer, what am I appreciative of? Number one, I got my kids at home. They're a wonderful age of this. I feel terrible for, um, I see a lot of agents that we have kids that are of high school age. Um, I think it's got a lot harder for that. I've got nephews. I know one, the oldest being a junior, the youngest being a freshman in high school, and that's tough on them. Those are 4 years that you probably don't appreciate them as much when you're there, but looking back, those are some really core highlights of your life. And the kids are going to have to miss the prom and the second final part of their senior year. Thad Musser from day one, Morgan and I went to high school together, and we would leave school at 11:30 every day and uh, lift weights with Yammer Yager and make fun of him while he was on the Stairmaster with a whole flock of girls around him. He was a Pittsburgh Penguin, big long mullet, just finally retired a couple of years ago. But I hate the thought of having to miss out on that time. So I feel bad for the high school kids. But my kids are actually at the perfect age, so I'm very appreciative of that. Um, and I'm appreciative of all you, because we have an amazing group of agents. We have amazing staff in our 13 offices that are putting their all, just like Maggie and Isaac's teacher, and just like the whole country, for real. So thank you for that. I'd love to hear what you guys are appreciative for. All right. So here's a question, and definitely not one that anybody should take time away from prospecting. But I was just asked my 3 favorite Dead cover songs from my favorite Dead cover band, J-Rad, Jay Russo, Almost Dead. So I'm gonna lead off with Althea being my number one song that they cover. Um, Second one is a Jerry Garcia band song, "Cats Under the Stars," and then the third song is going to be "I Know You're Rider," and anything that typically they segged into that with. So there's my top 3. And anybody who's in the Century 21 Redwood Realty Grateful Dead scene knows who asked that question, as does probably anybody in the Ashburn, Virginia office. But thank you for asking. What else we got? Come at me. What's the best piece of advice you have received and given? Man, we're getting deep on the spot, getting deep. Again, stay on the phone so you don't have to listen to this. But the best piece of advice I've ever received. Karen, I would have liked these questions ahead of time. Best piece of advice that I would have ever received is I think I'm gonna say it's just get up and work. At least that's the best piece of advice that I ever followed. Um, that is what I think. If you want to consider me successful, I'd say my success is based on the fact that I've never shied away from getting up um, and just putting my nose to the grindstone. So I would say I'm gonna redo that one, and I'm gonna say only do something that you love doing. I'd say that the biggest blessing in my life is I love real estate. I love, if I could be so bold as saying I run a real estate company. I love running a real estate company. Um, and so that is what drives me. So I don't get up at 5 a.m. every morning and think about going to work. I get up at 5 a.m. every morning and I do something that I love. That probably gives me a bit of a challenge, which is that I love my family too, and shifting to get away from shutting down my work side to get over to the family side is a challenge. Best piece of advice I've ever given is, um, and I tell my son and especially my daughter this all the time, is when you're winning, you just shut up and lock in the win, right? When you're selling a house and somebody says they want to buy it and they're going to submit an offer, stop talking. You've already gotten what you want. The only thing you can do is continue to talk and have them not follow through and give you an offer. So those are that's my answers there. All right. Okay. Um, awesome. So we have 33 people that are on right now prospecting and doing your business, and they're not listening to me, which I absolutely love. Um, and I love it because that means that they're out there kicking tail. What is what is your favorite? Um, if, I'm going to paraphrase this question because I think what they're getting at is what would be my favorite lead source. So I'll talk about that. Um, when I was in the field selling houses, my favorite lead source was geo-targeted farming, and that arose because of my competitive nature. I moved to the Roslyn neighborhood in Arlington, Virginia in 2003. And there was an agent that dominated my neighborhood. And I said to myself, I'm going to make it my life's work that this guy never lists another freaking house again. Because every time I'd see his sign go up instead of mine, it would just drive me crazy. And that's what led me into discovering, pioneering geo-targeted farming. And at my peak, I had about a 70% market share um, in that geo-targeted farm within Roslyn. And I went a solid 12 months without him even getting a single listing in the neighborhood. Every time a sign would go up that wasn't mine, I'd think to myself, "Oh dear God, just please don't let it be this agent's name." And then I'd see the he was with Long and Foster at the time, so I'd see the post go up, and if it was a white post, I'd think, "Oh man." And then hopefully it was a different company. And then I still lost a listing, but at least he didn't get it. So that led me to geo-targeted farming, and I think now more than ever, geo-targeted farming should be in almost every single agent's wheelhouse. And I think that's because um, the same way that as you grow your sphere of influence, it's going to get easier to expand that sphere of influence exponentially. As you grow your presence in a given geo-targeted marketing, the same thing is going to happen. The first listing in an area is always the hardest to get. Second listing is a little easier. Third is easier than that. Fourth is easier than that. That's why when you build your business to the point where you can send out a postcard. We call them multi-property cards because they focus on multi-properties, but you can get yourself up where you can showcase, you can brag about 6 listings that somebody in a given geo-targeted farm would care about. Boom, holy cow. That is when the phone board just lights up, because the general mindset behind geo-targeted farming is people think to themselves, I know real estate is the most important um, investment that I have, but I also know that I haven't paid nearly enough attention to researching what agent is best qualified. But I know that the McConnells and the Smiths and the Davidsons all must have done a bunch more research than me, and they picked blank agent's name and Century 21 Redwood Realty. So I'm just going to go ahead and piggyback on their advice and give them a call. And that's why you do your farm. You always hold, when things go back to normal, you hold an open house that first weekend. Ideally, you do 2 open houses. On Saturday, you're going to meet all the neighbors. On Sunday, you're going to meet the most interested buyers. And that's just the cycle. And then for years, I haven't actually held an open house in that old farm in a decade. And I'm not kidding, maybe 4 months ago, I had somebody that was had been renting their unit out for 8 years and contacted me when they were moving back from overseas and wanted to sell it. And that's just how it is. And that was just those relationships. Sent my postcards. Nowadays, it's so easy to do Facebook marketing. I'm doing a class tomorrow at 9 a.m. on using our new Boost ad platform to do Facebook marketing, and people are going to light that up. It's so easy. You just lay your ad out. You type what you want to say. Create a landing page for it to go to. Type in, if you're in Ashburn, you could be Ashburn Village. If you're in Dumfries, you could be Southbridge. You can zero into that neighborhood. And then what they're doing, this company Boost we're working with, they're actually buying data on people who are likely to move. That's typically, they get that by studying who goes to Zillow a couple times a week, who goes to realtor.com, who types in, I want to buy a house into Google. And they buy all those cookies, and it follows them. So when they're in CBC, CNBC, Weather Channel, New York Times, Fox News, wherever they get their information, they're going to see those ads. I was on the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette yesterday, and I saw an ad for Kevin LaRue's listing, which is great. I saw one for Dorian Gagne's on Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And that's not on Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It's just that this company we work with, Boost by HomeSpotter, who runs our Redwood digital ad platform, is actually just tied into the same ad network that's advertising on Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. So that's geo-targeted farming. All right. Thank you. And I got, wow, I got a compliment from Sean Military, guys. That's pretty special. Sean says, who is my favorite business partner? I think you know who the answer to that is. But he said, congratulations. So I love you both equal. Thank you for tolerating me. Best piece of advice I've heard is if you make your bed every morning, you've accomplished your first goal of the day. Well, all right, that's a good way to look at it. I as my wife would tell you, I get up every single morning, and well, I get up before her, so it's up to her to make the bed. But when she goes away on a business trip, she always comes back, and as soon as she walks in the door, I think to myself, oh man, I forgot to make the bed. So because I don't know, when you're a dude and you sleep in the bed, it just seems like I'm just gonna mess the sheets up anyways. But it does look nicer, I guess, to go back to a neat bed. So you've accomplished your first task. All right. My phone's available, 202-815-0925. Text me a question. Let's keep this conversation going. More importantly, what is a question that you could see as a reward for setting an appointment? And actually, what I want you to do is, when you've set an appointment, tell me. Let's go ahead and take a look at the business planning tracker myself here. All right. I've been corrected. Redwood Offers training is tomorrow at 9 a.m. The Redwood Offers training is tomorrow at 9 a.m. The Boost training is Friday at 9 a.m. Important distinction. So I hope to see everybody on that at the same time. So the Redwood offers training tomorrow. Let me give you a rundown of how that's going to go, because it's going to be, it is, Redwood offers is so freaking timely for what we're going through right now. Logging in right now. Let me give you a rundown of what the scripts are going to sound like. So let me tell you why Redwood offers training is so freaking is so crucial right now. So Redwood offers, we have I'm going to introduce you to someone from this company, but we have an investor. Their name is EasyKnock. And what they do is they buy properties, largely sight unseen. And they do that in the following way. They pay up to 80% cash, and then they give the seller what they call a 20% option that can be cashed in over the next 18 months. So how that works in practicality is, let's just say you have a $500,000 house that you're trying to list. The house is worth exactly $500,000. What they would do is they would pay your seller $400,000 up front. So they'd go to settlement in about 13 to 14 days on average, provided they could get an inspector out there to make sure the home's in reasonable shape, and they can get an appraiser out to make sure it's worth $500,000. They're going to close in 13 to 14 days, and they're going to pay $400,000 cash, and then they're going to give an option, what they call an option, that's available for $100,000. So your client sells the home with them. Say they have a $200,000 mortgage that they have not been looking forward to making payments on in this environment. They would get $400,000 minus a 2.5% fee and about 1.5% closing costs. So say they get, they'd walk away at that point with, say, you'd have to do the math, but 400,000, I think that's minus 40,000. I'm getting tripped up. Not showing myself to be a math genius right here. Times 0.96. Yeah, so they'd walk away with 480,000. No. Yeah, they'd walk away with 380,000 within 13, 14 days. Then they would start paying rent, and then you would, at a time that works for them and works for the environment, probably right after everything opens back up after coronavirus, you'd put their house on the market, and when it sells, they'd get that 20% delta. And what's amazing about this is there's no downside risk for them, in the sense of, if the house sells at 520,000, they get to keep that extra 20,000. So what they're doing is they're able to pull out 80% of their equity right now, remain in the home as a tenant, and then sell the house when everything clears. And that's going to be such a salient pitch right now, especially for folks that might be in a situation where they really, their life would be a lot more comfortable if they could tap into that home's equity. So if anybody listening right now knows somebody that would work really well for, you don't have to wait for our training tomorrow at 9 a.m. You can go ahead and talk to me about it right now. So let me read you the scripts that I have written for this, because I've been writing this beautiful material all morning. So this is a cold call script. So let's just say that I sold a home in a neighborhood last month, and I want to just go ahead and do what's called circle prospecting. So I'm going to call the 100 people who are deemed highly likely to move, and we can use a couple different sources for that. Cole Realty resource is one of them. You can use Remine as well. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, "Hello, is this Bobby?" "Great, Bobby, this is Eddie Berenbaum with Century 21 Redwood Realty. Hey, how are you and your family holding up with everything?" Okay, that's how we're going to start every single conversation. If you want to add validity, hey Bobby, this is Eddie Berenbaum with Century 21 Redwood Realty. I just sold your neighbors, the Smiths homes, down the street. I'm calling around to the neighbors to try to gain an understanding. How are you guys holding up? How are you doing with everything that is happening right now in the market? Not just with the market, how with everything that's happening with coronavirus. And then you're just going to listen. And then either they're just going to feed right into your script and ask you about how things are going with real estate, or you're just going to say this. The reason for my call today is my firm is working with an investor that allows homeowners to pull out up to 80% of their equity upfront and remain in their home for 18 months. This enables them to access capital now and sell later without sacrificing on price. Does this sound like a program that could work for you? All right, let's just say they say yes. Always think positively. They say yes. Okay, perfect. I can have an offer ready for you in 2 to 3 business days. I have a time available on Tuesday to review the terms. Does that work, or do you prefer Wednesday? Wednesday, perfect. Does morning or afternoon work best? A morning, gotcha. Closer to 9 a.m. or closer to 10 a.m. Keep in mind, we're going to do this virtually because um, we're spending our time, practicing physical distancing, as we call it right now. Socially, we're more connected than ever, but we're doing physical distancing. So you're going to go ahead and set that, and then you're going to say, all right, to prepare your offer, I have a couple questions to review with you. Where will you be moving to? Florida, great. What takes you there? All right, get away from Washington, D.C. Understood that. How soon do you have to be there? You want to be there in May. Okay, great. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being perfect, how would you rate the physical condition of your home? 8. All right. Using the same scale with 10 being straight up HGTV, how show ready would you say your home is? About a 9.5. Compliments to your wife. Got that. Have you made any significant updates to your property since moving in? How much do you owe on the property? That's a crucial question. How much do you think your home would sell for? I'm curious to know, how did you determine that price? And so you're going to lock in the answers to those questions, and then you are going to go to accessredwood.com and you're going to click on the Redwood offers button, and you're going to submit an offer request for that property. So you have it ready, and know that you'll get it back more or less about 2 business days to get that back. Now, I've done a modified version for that with the sphere of influence. So let's just say that you're calling somebody that you know, they're in your SOI. Maybe they bought a house with you 2 years ago. They bought a house with you 2 years ago. So last thing you want to do is come across like you're calling them, hey, has coronavirus scared you into selling yet? That's not what you want to do. So, hey, Bobby, Eddie Berenbaum, Century 21 Redwood Realty. Hey, I got to ask you, how are you and your family holding up with everything that's going on? You got that beautiful house in your favorite neighborhood, and I'm sure you find solace in that great backyard. But I know one of the things that drove you there was just the convenience of everything, and now you're inside. How are you doing with that? How are the kids holding up? So again, you're going to listen. And then rather than saying, do you yourself want to sell? You're going to say, my firm is working with an investor that allows homeowners to pull out up to 80% of their equity up front and remain in their home for 18 months. This enables them to access capital now and sell later without sacrificing on price. Can you think of anyone that could work for? So you hear that difference? So we're saying, can you think of anyone that could work for, instead of, does that sound something you're interested in? And if they are, then they will just let you know, to which case you'll just go right back into the other script and set a time to showcase that offer. You're still going to ask the same exact pre-qualification script as well. All right, I heard from Laura Rhodes, positive of the virus is spending extra time with her parents, cooking together with 3 generations and other family time things we're doing. I freaking love that. That's amazing. We are hoping to be able to do that. We have Jenny's dad's in Philadelphia right now by himself, which makes us sad. And my dad's in Pittsburgh with my stepmom, and so we're hoping to be able to see them soon. So we've been, I think, as of this Thursday, our kids will have been more or less quarantined in the house for about 14 days. We kept them home 2 days before soon as Loudoun County said no school, we kind of thought, I see the writing on the wall. No need to do these next two days. So hopefully we can do the same thing. But 3 generations cooking in the same house, that's a beautiful thing. So it's it's not something that we would cook up a virus just to get, but it is something. So I'm curious to know what people think about Redwood offers. Anybody have a specific question on that? Our website's up and running at redwoodoffers.com. And as of tomorrow morning, when we start doing this training session, you're going to get to experience Redwood Offers training session. You're going to experience yourself by putting in those offer requests. We have there is a $10 charge for an offer request, and that is something that we pay that amount of money for. Actually, a little bit more because we have minimal. We have a contract we've got to work on, but we pay that much for the automated valuation report that we send you for review with your clients. They're from the preemptive automated valuation company, House Canary. House Canary prides themselves on being so accurate that they actually work with some lending institutions that don't require an appraisal, actually rely on House Canary for that. One thing that you're going to find moving forward, at least in the coming months, as all the lenders wrestle to see if there's any type of a negative effect on property values through the coronavirus shutdown, call it, is that everybody's going to require an appraisal. So the lenders all have their spidey senses up right now, looking out for fraud, and also just looking out for accidentally underwriting what turns out to be an overpriced property. What we're still seeing across the board is the fundamentals are really strong in this market, going up, up, up. You need to have a plan in place for revenue because it does feel like closings are going to be down. But by all accounts, if we can stay away from each other, bend down this the curve, so to speak, of people spreading this virus to each other, then we're going to come out of this thing stronger than ever. And I have a good friend who's convinced that we're actually going to skip. We're going to have a short recession in his mind, but we're going to skip a major recession that was coming out of 2021 because of the focus on stimulus that we're getting, not only in the United States, but similar packages in Europe, and then he believes that you'll see the same thing coming out of China. So again, a virus is never a good thing, but for the economy in the long run, maybe maybe we wind up actually in a pretty good spot, or at least a return to the fundamentals we had leading up. But that doesn't change the fact that right now is a scary time. We realize all that, but it's also a time that that you're going to make great moves. We're going to make great moves as a company because we're going to be the best company because we're going to be the company that inspires you to grow your business. All right. So we have a social graphic that is going to be launched up there for Redwood Offers training with Eddie B tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Our marketing team is always hard at work. We've got the best marketing team in the business. So let's talk about virtual open houses. This is actually, I just got my second text asking me about virtual open houses. So it's a great idea. And a virtual open house gives you the ability to basically advertise and lead gen all week long. So you can access this by just going into Access Redwood, where all the great information is, and going to Support Center and typing in virtual open house, and you'll actually see we should have a guide up there for you. And how you complete a virtual open house is basically you go to, my opinion, most effective way, go on to Boost, pull up your property, customize the ad that says virtual open house, schedule your virtual walkthrough by clicking the link below, and then they're going to actually go to a landing page that you will have set up in the new Redwood Plus CRM, the Redwood website plus CRM platform, and you will design a lead capture form where they sign up for their personal tour. And then you have two options. You could actually venture outside, and with the permission of your client, you could do a virtual walkthrough of the property. So you're on the FaceTime, right? You're on the FaceTime and you're walking through the home and you're shifting between, views. You're showing them your beautiful face. You're showing them the beautiful house. You're asking questions. You're gathering information, and you're hopefully going to wind up soliciting an offer. This is an amazing time. It's an amazingly scary time, but it's an amazing time to be a home to be in the market for buying a house, because your competition, if you might, being Northern Virginia, the DC area, Maryland, you might still have a competing offer to contend with. But if you have one competing offer right now this week, you probably would have had 10 before the coronavirus happened. So it is opening up opportunities for buyers, right? These are a buyer who's willing to buy in a time of uncertainty is typically always going to get a better deal, right? Think about that. Definition of a market bottom. Can anybody who can text me the definition of a market bottom? How do we know we're at bottom? I'm not saying we're at the bottom, but why would I have no idea we were at the bottom if we were? Everybody's making calls. Okay, here's the answer. The market bottom is defined at the point where the maximum number of people believe it has that it's going down further, right? The market bottom, you hit bottom when everybody and their mother believes it's going lower, and that is when it actually turns around. And when do you meet the top? You reach the top when everybody and their mother thinks it's going higher. That's when you're at the top, right? So typically market bottoms happen when in conjunction with scary things. You take a look at and you say to yourself, why didn't I buy a ton of stocks when it bottomed out in 2008 at 8,600, the Dow, that is? Because if you were to tune in to CNBC on that given day, you would have heard, I bet you the articles probably said, Dow 5,000 is right around the corner, right? In hindsight, it looks like a beautiful day to buy, but during the time, super scary. So don't shy away from the fact when you're working with buyers right now and you're touring things virtually that, look, this from a buying perspective, if you have the ability to buy in a scary market like this, you're going to get a better deal than you would have at the very top. No, I did not make that up. The bottom of a market is defined when everybody and their mother thinks it's going down, and the top of the market is when everybody thinks it's going higher. And that's why you inherently cannot predict the bottom, and you inherently cannot predict the top. And that's why most people left to their own devices will almost always make poor decisions, because they're going to listen to what other people say. They're going to gather the consensus, and then they're going to make decisions. So, but we were talking about a virtual open house. So, virtual open house, go into Boost. You're going to run an ad. You're going to say, "Hey, virtual open house schedule." Then you're going to FaceTime with them, and then you're hopefully going to be able to maybe they buy the house, but even better and even more likely, you pick them up as clients, and then you start touring other properties. And you send them other stuff, and they're like, "Oh, cool! Can you check this out?" And so first and foremost, you're just going to do a picture walkthrough first, right? Okay, this is an Essex model, very familiar with it. Oh, cool, this one has a gourmet kitchen. It doesn't have an extended family room, but looking in the backyard, where that extended family room would have been on other houses, they actually have a screened-in porch. I kind of like this better because if you had an extended family room, you wouldn't have been able to do that beautiful porch there. And then unfinished basement, updated master bathroom. You got all that. So you're going to be proving your expertise, and then when needed, if more properties need to be shown, inspected in person, then call the listing agent and team with them and say, hey, my clients are interested in, they want to see under the sinks. They want to see what the plumbing is like. Can your seller take pictures and email them like what the plumbing looks like underneath each of the sinks? Or do you mind if I do a preview and do a FaceTime in the property with them? And then you can do all that. So those are your virtual open houses. It gives you, it's an amazing prospecting opportunity because in most circumstances, somebody in a normal market, somebody might be a little less likely to kind of bite on that. They might just think, you know what, I'm busy, I'll just drive by on my way home from work. But they're home, and you're able to pick up that relationship that you might not have. Thank you. I've got some feedback on some funny pictures on a market bottom. And I've got some feedback of looking forward to learning more about Redwood offers tomorrow. I'm super excited to learn and share with you about Redwood offers as well. And I had such a beautiful thing I was just thinking about covering next. 14 minutes left. And again, 14 minutes where you should not be listening to the sound of my voice, because the prize here is not the information that's coming, as beautiful and amazing as that is. The prize here is if you're on your phone with clients, you do not have to be listening to me. How wonderful is that? Hopefully you don't know because you're booking appointments. I want to keep hearing your successes. I keep hearing texts from people telling me how they're growing their business today. It's amazing. Look at yourself on a video camera and try not to develop an itch. It's like freaking impossible. So it's a great day to be Zen. It's a great day to be here. Mortgage rates. I just got a text. What would you tell somebody who is shopping for mortgages right now? First of all, what I'd tell them is get your application in and do an application with day one mortgage and listen to what your loan officer tells you, okay? So whether it's Tina, if it's Paul, or if it's Steve, you want to listen to what they're saying, because rates are beautifully low when you take a look at historically, but man, are they crazy. Just like the stock market's all over the place, these things are freaking crazy. And what you're seeing is that rates are differing program to program. So you might find that the govies, your FHA and your VA loans, kind of come down one day while conventionals are flat. Overwhelmingly, what you're seeing is less pricing flexibility on jumbos, because if you understand the difference between a govie loan, an FHA or a VA, conforming loan, so that's something that's going to be able to be purchased by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, and a jumbo, which is everything else, typically above the conforming, the Fannie and the Freddie loan limits. That's the name jumbo. The jumbos have they have the least amount of predictability in terms of how they're doing, because when a bank or a lender makes a jumbo loan, they don't have a set market that they could just go ahead and sell it on. So if you take a look at the lessons from the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009, it is banks learned they don't have debts, don't have a large number of debts on your balance sheet that you can't move should you know what hit the fan. So what you're going to see is um, get your application in, get all the information in to the lender. That's so freaking easy with day one mortgage. And then if the rate works for you, go ahead and lock it in because it may not be available in an hour. You used to think it may not be the same tomorrow. Now you might be thinking it may not be the same in 5 minutes because the rates are just going all over the place. Okay, I've been told that every time I touch my face, somebody's taking a drink. I feel like I've been more of a victim of arm scratches than touching my face. But then again, I was actually, when I was saying that comment, I was thinking to myself, one thing you're doing pretty well here, Eddie, is you're not touching your face a ton. So, but I am free from outside contaminants because I have not left the Barenbaum compound in over 36 hours because I worked straight through and I didn't join the wife and kids on a dog walk yesterday. And our favorite Whole Foods has now initiated. They only let X number of people in the store at a time, which I get why they're doing it, but it kind of sets up a stage where you feel like you're. I don't really want to be in line with a bunch of people right now, huh? So we've got Redwood offers training tomorrow. We have Boost training on Friday. We have virtual open houses that we should be doing. What other ways can we grow our business? Let's talk about if you're currently buying leads, so to speak, on Zillow or Realtor.com or one of those resources. Should you continue? So provided that the continuation of your Zillow ads or your Realtor.com ads are not going to impact your ability to eat, pay your mortgage, and meet your other bills, I say yes, because right now we are in a crisis. But by all means, it should be a crisis that doesn't expand beyond the set period of time. So within a few weeks or months of everybody being able to go back to work, this whole thing won't be behind us because the country is going to be left with a lot of debt that it didn't have before that it's going to have to wrestle with. But I think you'll see a really renewed sense of a revigoration, so to speak, in the local economy. People are going to provided the stimulus, and it's $2 trillion. So you would hope it does the trick for even if it's a 3 to 4 month lockdown. But provided the stimulus does a good enough job of reassuring the country that we're going to get through this together, people are going to go back, and consumer spending is going to pick up. And I know this. I'm if another blessing in my life is my Peloton machine. And it's funny, when I take a new Peloton ride, the studio, they just opened a new studio. The studio is empty, and I find myself reminiscing. Man, it was I kind of miss the old days when the studio was packed with people and you didn't feel like it was just you and the instructor. Because that's hilarious, by the way. So I've been in the studio 5 different times, but when you're taking the ride, the instructors are so incredibly fit, and you look at them and you think, "Oh my God, I'm a slouch." And then you look at the other people, and then you realize I'm not the only slouch because a normal person does not look like a Peloton instructor. That's why there's probably only like 15 of them. But I was going somewhere with this. Where that is, I don't know. So the economy is going to get back, and I think that this is going to pick back up, and people are going to look back and they're going to think to themselves, I wish I would have made a move during this. And that's why I think that this Boost is not Boost, but the Redwood Offers platform is going to be so incredibly powerful on this. I think that the people that would go with a Redwood offer on this, you'll get my details tomorrow. Lynn, I almost touched my face. You'll get the details tomorrow. But Redwood offers is people are going to be able to. It's about a 4% fee they're going to pay for that, but that's going to allow them to pull out up to 80% of their equity, sleep at night, if that takes care of what they need. They'll be able to sleep at night, and then they won't. They should not lose any type of equity because they're going to wait for the crisis to pass, and then you're going to put the house on the market, sell it for top dollar because you're a freaking machine, and then they're going to get that difference, right? So maybe that $500,000 example I used before, they pull out $380 right now. They pay off their $200,000 mortgage. They have 180 grand in the bank that they didn't have. They're free to then buy their next home in an environment that may not be a true buyer's market, but it's friendlier to buyers than it will be when everything passes, and then they're going to get a good deal on the next house. And I think that's the health of the herd aside. This is if we walk our clients through how they can use this real estate market to their advantage, there's always a way to use it to their advantage. Flurry of activity. There's only 4 minutes left. Oh, thank you. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for doing the power hour with us. All right. Clients are expecting in October. Well, let's get them into a new house. What is a recommended monthly budget for the... So I would start with... I would boost every single listing, which should cost you $49 a listing. You'll notice right now, they haven't changed this yet, but you'll notice that if you go into the dashboard, you can buy a 1-week ad for just $39. They've got that price too low. I would have going at any given time, I'd probably have 3 monthly boost ads. I'd have one that was targeted directly to my sphere that just kept me top of mind for all my sphere. And then I'd have 2 geo-targeted farming ads. One would focus on Redwood offers, driving people, I can make you an offer. And then I'd have another one that was geared towards probably virtual showings, right? Hopefully it's good for buyers and sellers. We want to get the messaging that says, if you're a buyer or a seller, like, let's get together, right? For seller, I'm still kicking butt representing you. And for buyers, holy crap, this isn't the opportunity you've been waiting for. Contact me and let's figure out how to leverage this virtual opportunity to maximize your results. So that's it. And then on top of that, I would also be doing a lot of just boosted Facebook posts. So I would be doing video, and the agent that asked about this kills it on video anyways, where you are shooting and you're explaining Redwood offers. Hey, this is blankly blank Century 21 Redwood Realty. I want to tell you about this amazing opportunity my firm has to provide our clients with offers that are just optimized for this local crisis that we have going on right now. So we have an investor that will buy houses and they'll enable you to pull out 80%, up to 80% of your home's value now within like 13 to 14 days, and then stay in the home for up to 18 months as a tenant. And when the timing is right, put the house on the market and you can pull out the remaining equity. So that enables clients to be able to tap into their equity now at a time when they might really need it, without sacrificing any type of either lifestyle, because maybe they have family at home and they don't feel comfortable leaving to accommodate showings. Maybe they don't want people into the house, and they can wait for all this to pass to get the home on the market and take care of all that inconvenience. So get a hold of me now. Click this button and give me your information, and I'll be in touch. And let's see if this investor could work for you. And I hope you and your family are doing well. If you need anything during this crisis, please contact me. So that's the message that you're gonna do. All right, 1 minute left in the power hour. So how does Boost work if it goes under contract? So how does this company make money? It'll be interesting if things take longer. They do not give you a refund if it sells in less than a week. So you don't get to make up that unused portion. They do have factored in that a certain percentage of their listings will sell before the minimum pricing period, and they pocket the difference. So, but if you compare Redwood Digital Ad Boost with what KV Core, who hosts our Redwood website plus CRM platform, what they charge, you're getting a much better deal on the Boost by HomeSpark. So part of how they're making that possible is they are factoring that not every single ad will run for 7 days. So that is a kind of a cost of doing business. Thank you guys so much. I'm not going to talk for an hour every single day. Today, I felt it was really important to be in tune with you for the entire hour. But I will be back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Text me 202-815-0925, and I will load up. I'm going to be serving up 10 minutes worth of commentary to get things started. I'm going to be rewarding the agents with a shout out. The agents who did the best, kicked the most butt with appointments today. Tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. because you're going to get your shout out. More importantly than that, tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. Learn all about Redwood offers, and then kick some butt on your power hour, your hour of power, your Redwood prospecting hour, however you want to look at it. Kick some butt tomorrow. And yeah, it just goes away. Just circling back to that question, it just goes away. The ad ceases to run and they lock in the profit. There's no nicer way to say that. But you're getting the fact that will happen sometimes is getting you a better deal because it's keeping the prices down. All right, team. Thank you so much. It's a blessing working with all of you. Take care. See you tomorrow.